Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spin Cycle, the show for short reviews of albums new and old. And today we will be talking about the new album from Incubus, 8, which was released on April 21st, 2017. Now, Incubus is a band that defined my high school years in a lot of ways. Musically, lyrically, they just spoke to me. And their brand of alt-rock metal, especially on their earlier albums, was unlike anything else out there at the time. Incubus formed in 1991 while they were still in high school in Calabasas, California. They gave themselves the name Incubus later on when they actually started playing shows and they had to have a name. The original members, Brandon Boyd, Mike Einziger, and Jose Pasillas, are still in the band today. And they eventually added turntables to their sound in 1995 prior to the release of their first album, Fungus Among Us. Now, that first album, Fungus Among Us, came out in 1995, and it wasn't long before the band signed with Sony. They released the album Science in 1997, which is arguably my favorite of their albums, and this marked a jumping-off point for their funk-inspired alt-rock. They released Make Yourself in 1999, which became their first double platinum release, and spawned rock classics like Drive and Pardon Me. After numerous successful albums and extensive touring, they took a break in 2008. Both Boyd and Einziger had solo projects that they were working on at the time. When they returned, they released If Not Now, When, which was a significant shift in their sound and their tone, and that was followed up with another tonal shift on their Trustfall EP. And all the while, after their hiatus, they have done extensive touring worldwide. My love for this band, though, really faded thanks to one very disappointing night at Red Rocks. So the new album was more of a curiosity for me than anything else. 8 is, no surprise, the 8th studio album following 2011's If Not Now, When. It was released on Island Records and it debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200 in the US. The album was originally produced by Dave Sardy, but it was reproduced by Skrillex. It was recorded and mixed over the course of 2016 and 2017, including some of the mixing done just before the album was released in April. It was originally planned to be a follow-up to the Trustfall EP, but eventually it became a full LP when they thought, we got enough material for an actual full album. At least one thing is immediately apparent and welcome when you start listening to this album. It is not If Not Now, When. The band has returned to their more playful and less monochromatic depressive style that defined that album. But there is still a fair amount of slower music on it, which is both good and bad. The sound has evolved a bit as well. It feels a little more manufactured raw, like they want to sound raw, but it's not a natural sound. Boyd has a very distinct singing voice, but he tries some different tones on this album just to give a little bit of variety. And some of the songs sound like they would play really well live, but on the album, they're a little bit boring. It's musically, though, at its best when Einziger just lets loose and Pasillas on drums are just on point. My top 4 songs on the album are No Fun, which starts off with a more classic Incubus sound. Glitter Bomb, it's mostly slow, but it builds up to a really fun finish at the end of that song. Familiar Faces, which has great melody and just great vocals. And then Throw Out the Map, which is a fun and energetic ending to this album. But my favorite track would have to be State of the Art, which has this great mix of lyrics and passionate music that the band does well.
Look at you, you're falling apart. Built to spare your state of the art.
Overall, this isn't a bad album, and it's a vast improvement over If Not Now When and the Trustfall EP, but that being said, it also isn't particularly memorable either. There are a few songs that are catchy and memorable, like State of the Art, but the album as a whole is definitely a mixed bag. And it's bookended by fun songs, but the middle, especially in the second half of the album, it slows down to a snail crawl, and it gets really redundant. It's an Incubus for a new age, but I'm not completely sold that their heart is still in this music as it once was. So my top 5 for the week are songs that define my high school experience. Voodoo by Godsmack off of Godsmack. That was just a fun song when it came out, and definitely one I just really enjoyed early in my high school career. Pushing Me Away by Linkin Park off of Hybrid Theory. This band kind of came out of nowhere for me, and I really did enjoy them. Vitamin by Incubus off of Science. Science, like I said, is my favorite Incubus album, and this song might have been one of the most influential for me on that album. Bring Me to Life by Evanescence off of Fallen. As soon as I heard Evanescence, I fell in love with the band, and this song was the first one I heard, so this one defined it. And then last but certainly not least, Surfacing by Slipknot off of Slipknot. When I first heard Slipknot, I was blown away. When I saw them live, I was even more blown away, and this song was one of those anthems that I could just scream when I was really angry. Let me know your thoughts on Incubus's 8, if you liked it or didn't like it, if you disagree with me on some of the songs in the middle. And that does it for this episode of Spin Cycle, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Nice work. Good job. If you like what you saw, you can just go ahead and click that subscribe button for all videos past and future. You can also head over to my website and see all the other stuff that I do, including the books I've written. So go ahead, click stuff.